My name is Sarah Milianta-Laffin, and I teach at ʻIlima Intermediate School in Ewa Beach. Now, teachers, we do our homework. I'm here today because teachers have examined the issues, and we're giving Senator Keohokalole top marks. Driving in this morning, I actually had a call from a teacher in Washington State, one of my union siblings, and she said it's all over social media that somehow Hawaiʻi has defeated Citizens United. And I said, well, funny story. I am heading to a rally for the senator who co-sponsored it, and we're trying to send him to Washington. And she said, sis, send me the link. He needs to be there yesterday. And we agree. One of the reasons that I'm proud to be here this morning to support the senator is due to his outright rejection of the SAVE Act. As a proud, let's go. Yeah. As a proud public school teacher who believes in the civic process, I'm alarmed that his opponent, Ed Case, voted in support of this anti-democratic measure. The SAVE Act would create unnecessary barriers to voter registration that would potentially disenfranchise millions of eligible U.S. citizens like me. See, I hyphenated my name when I got married, so my birth certificate does not match my legal name on my state ID. An estimated 69 million women in this country are in the same position and may not have a birth certificate with their current name. I need the public to understand that education is a pink-collar profession. In Hawaii, 75% of educators are women. Lots of us get married while teaching, and many of us end up changing our names. And apparently, Ed doesn't think we should get to vote. Or he thinks that women should have a harder time voting than our male counterparts. And that's unacceptable. Women have fought too hard for the right to vote to see it infringed upon, and the senator understands this. Other groups who face disenfranchisement under the SAVE Act include low-income and working-class individuals, as passport ownership is lower in these groups. As a public school teacher, I don't have a passport because I don't make enough money to travel internationally. The SAVE Act punishes working people for being working people, and Ed Case is okay with that. It would hurt younger and elderly voters, people of color, as well as military members who move frequently and would need to re-register in person to vote. We applaud Senator Keohakalole's strong rejection of the SAVE Act. Teachers know that the answer to our current crisis in Washington is not less democracy, it's more, which is why we believe we need to send the senator to DC. On a personal note, as a mom and a teacher, one of the things that impressed me when we've met many times with the senator was not just that he repeatedly stayed with us for deeper conversations, but that time and time again, he brought up his feelings as a partner, as a father, as a brother, and as a son of this place. I'm gonna be honest, I don't hear a lot of men in politics talk about the duty to their families. And I left those meetings thinking that if the senator understood that he's fighting for his own family in DC, then he'd surely be fighting for mine as well. Senator, on behalf of our 13,000 plus Hawaii State Teacher Association members, we support you and we are excited to help send you to Washington. Mahalo.
Aloha, everyone. Thank you so much. I'm Jarrett Keohokalole. I'm a state senator. I'm 42 years old. I'm a dad, a husband, and a local boy that grew up here. And as of this morning, I am officially a candidate for the United States House of Representatives, Congressional District 1 in the state of Hawaii. I'm running to lower costs, to protect healthcare, and to fight for our future, because we need leadership now. So I want to start just by telling 3 quick stories. The first is a story of my grandfather. You know, when I first ran for office, I knocked on doors throughout my community on the windward side where I grew up. And I met lots of people that knew my family. But I also met people who knew my grandfather and told me stories about him. One kupuna who I met at a door while I was campaigning saw my flyer, saw my name, and she told me a story about my grandfather, about how he was the first cab driver on the windward side. And as a girl, he took her and her mother over the mountain to buy school clothes at the Woolworth at the Aloha Tower marketplace. And he waited for them all day long. And she told me about how much of a good man he was. And I never forgot that story because my grandfather passed away before I was born. I never knew him. And I was so grateful to her for telling me a story about my own family that I didn't know. And it made me realize her and the many, many residents from my community who knew my family, my aunties, my uncles, my grandmother. She didn't vote for me, she voted for him. She gave me a chance, but she supported me because she knew him and she loved him and she trusted him. And that's community. And that's what's at stake in this election because we're losing it. That's what makes this place special, is those roots, that connection. And I had so much gratitude for her, and I felt such a strong obligation to do a good job. It compelled me in my legislative career to always run to the hard issues, to try and work on the hard stuff. Because I wanted to show them that I was worthy, not only of their support, but of that reputation that my family established in that community that I benefited from but had nothing to do with. It drives me every day. And that's why throughout my legislative career, I've tried to address the hard things that really matter for people, like lowering costs. Last year, I was proud to introduce and lead an effort to establish insurance legislation to bring costs down for condominium and homeowner residents. When the private insurers in our market fled Hawaii after the Maui wildfires, we stepped in, stabilized the market, and lowered costs for tens of thousands of homeowners and condominium residents in the state of Hawaii because it was important. On healthcare, after the Supreme Court reversed Roe versus Wade, and we had no access to reproductive rights for women, including the right to abortion, for the first time in 3 generations, I worked with legal experts, with advocates, and with doctors to pass Senate Bill 1 in 2023, protecting the rights of women to make reproductive choices for themselves, including the right to abortion. And just this past week, as Lisa mentioned, the governor signed SB 2471, which I was proud to co-introduce and lead the effort to pass in conference committee, making Hawaii the first state in the nation to reverse the notorious Citizens United decision, which allowed unlimited corporate spending to influence our elections and buy our leadership. For the first time in 16 years, and the first state in the country, Hawaii is saying no. No more dark money, no more corporate influence. We're changing this. So I want to do more. And I think there's much more to be done in Washington. Second story, my first experience really as an adult was 2 weeks into my freshman year at the University of Hawaii. I graduated in 2001, and on September 11th, 2001, the Twin Towers were attacked and came down. I was 18 years old. I'd barely just become an adult, and the world changed immediately. And my experience and the experience of millennials like me during that period was that horrific attack, followed by 5 years of war in Iraq, followed by the Great Recession. And by the time the recession hit, my wife Ku'ulani and I had had it. We were so completely jaded. Our life experience up to that point showed no future and no opportunity for us. And we got involved in politics because of it, because we couldn't stand the way the country was headed. We didn't see a future for ourselves. And I gotta say, it's incredibly frustrating right now to see us bumble into this war in Iran and introduce yet another generation of young people to endless wars that don't make any sense, to a system that's tilted in favor of the people who already have. I can see it in the eyes of my teenagers right now. That same jaded look, where they know there's no future for them here in Hawaii. That's not fair, it's wrong, and it needs to change, and we need to put some effort into it right now. No, I don't have to explain to everyone, things are not going well right now. Gas is through the roof. It's up almost 30% over this time last year. We have a minivan out in the parking lot, way on the far side because we planned the parking to be difficult today on purpose. It's normally $75 to fill up the minivan. 2 days ago, we filled it up, it was $100. People cannot handle that kind of shock, especially when it's right in front of their eyes every day. After the passage of the big bill, the big ugly bill last year, we discovered at the state level that 60,000 local residents are going to lose their health insurance. 60,000. And we know what that's going to mean. That means more people calling the ambulances for things they could have taken care of with regular doctor visits. That means more people in the emergency rooms taking up beds that people that really need it are going to have to wait for. And we've seen, even this morning, no constraints on this president by the other branches of government, nothing coming from Congress, empowering him at the Supreme Court level, and an executive leader who is spending more time and effort trying to enrich himself than to address the inflation and the war that is driving our families into poverty. Things have got to change. So I'm here today because our representation in Washington has mattered now more than ever at any point in my lifetime. We only have 4 members representing us in Congress. We cannot afford complacency. And you know what? I think it's fair. I think it's fair for people in the community to ask, why me? And we're going to work to show people why. But I also think it's fair to ask, why Ed? What has he done? What has Ed accomplished? What is he up to and why? Why, representing Hawaii, did Ed support the SAVE Act, which is going to force almost 70 million women across the country to get extra documentation to vote, to express their constitutional right to vote? Why? When ICE raids happened on Maui, and they kicked down the doors of teachers asleep in their beds early in the morning, only to find out that they were US citizens or they had valid green cards. Why did he not speak out? No fight, no urgency, no words. And why, with this Iran war, has Ed not come out in opposition? You can read his own statements. Ed has not opposed this war. The only thing he said is he opposed the fact that they didn't ask him whether to go to war or not. That's not good enough. It's not good enough. Do these values reflect the values of the people of Hawaii? I don't think so. So last story, I taught my kids to swim right out here at this lagoon. My kids are 15, 13, and 9 years old. So during COVID, they were little, and we needed to get them outside. And if you remember, you couldn't go on the beach, you couldn't sit on the beach. So we brought them out here to this lagoon because it was safe and because you could just stand in the water. And so eventually, I taught them to float. And then we taught them to tread water and then to swim out to the rocks. And to me, that was the swim test. They had to swim out to the rocks on their own. They couldn't grab on to mom or dad in the deep water. They had to do it themselves, and they learned. And on Friday nights, Friday afternoons, we'd come out and we'd swim, and we'd clean them up right here at the showers. We'd start a fire, grill some hot dogs, and we'd wait for the fireworks at the hotel. That's the childhood that my kids experienced. It was wonderful. I'm running because I want their kids to experience that. I want their kids to learn to swim out here. I want their kids to watch the fireworks on Friday night. I want their grandkids to have their neighbors tell them stories about their grandfather. And I hope that those stories reflect the admiration that people in our community had for my grandfather. That's community. That's what's so special, and it's what's worth fighting for with urgency and action right now before it slips away for more families in Hawaii. And you know what? That's the legacy of the Democratic Party. That's the reason why. That promise, that dream of a wonderful life raising kids here in Hawaii on 2 jobs, like my parents did, a construction worker and a nurse, raising 3 boys, making my life happen. That's the promise that plantation workers, cannery workers like my grandmother got involved, ran for office, took over the legislature to push for. They fought, the Democratic Party organized, they fought for workers' rights, for healthcare, for our families, for our environment, and for our homes. That's the legacy that the Democratic Party has provided, and that's the legacy we need to fight for and protect in Congress. Thank you. I'm proud to carry on that legacy with the support and endorsement of 14 local unions in Hawaii. And with 5 national organizations and an incredible array, spectrum of support from across the community that I'm deeply grateful for. Governor Abercrombie, thank you so much. Lisa, Sarah, Amelia, thank you so much for being here to support me. The communities that you represent have spoken loud and clear. Hawaii needs change now. Hawaii needs leadership now. I'm Jarrett Keohokalole. I humbly ask for your vote. Let's make change happen now, and let's do it together. Thank you so much. Aloha.